Hi guys. In this lecture, we'll be creating a way to tell if the ball is hit either the left end or the right end. If it does, we'll stop the game and we'll realign or recenter the ball. Alright, let's get started. So let's close this. Let's close our... Alright, so after some troubleshooting, I found out that I'm actually unsure of how to bring the ball back to the center and then repeat the process all over again. So for right now, let's leave that, and instead what we're going to do is, first of all, let's run our application. Alright. And we have it running, so I'm just going to click this, and so right now it is hitting off. So what we're going to do is, if it hits the end, the ball will continue to move, but we'll show a score appearing. So that sounds good. Alright, so let's go over back to our program. And now we're going to have to initialize a few canvas.create text stuff. So let's do that. Now what we have to do is let's create a counter for score. So I'm going to create two variables. One is going to be counter and the other is going to be counter1. So self.counter is equal to 0, self.counter is equal to counter1 is equal to 0. So command S, and let's go over here. So we should actually create a score function of our ball class. So all that score function will do is, if it hits the side or if it hits, let's do that actually. So let's delete that, I'm sorry. So let's delete that and let's create a function called score. So def score, and it's going to take two parameters, self, and then it's going to take a value, the value that we'll pass in. So if you don't remember, in a few lectures ago when we were talking about variables and ints, we created global variables. So global variables are basically variables that exist throughout the whole framework. So if I call this variable anywhere, it would still count. So global counter 1. And all we're going to say is, if val is equal to true, then a is equal to self.canvas.create text 125, 140 or 40, text is going to be equal to counter. Font is equal to Arial, so put that in brackets. I'll explain what I'm doing, just give me a sec. Arial and 60, and fill should be white. Fill is equal to white. There we go. So basically, if our value is equal to true, canvas.itemConfig, a fill is equal to black. So this is the next line we want to write, canvas.itemConfig, a comma fill is equal to black. So let's go back, and then counter plus equal to 1. And last but not least, let's just copy this line. There we go. Command S. And then copy this whole thing. Command C. Command V. Now we're just going to say if value is equal to false. Let's change this. So it's going to be 375, 40 instead. And then we're going to say text is going to be equal to counter1. Text is counter1. And this is 375. So, one sec. Alright, so we created a function called def score, and it takes a parameter value. Now that value will be either true or false, so let's add that first. So if position is less than equal to 0, we want to say val is equal to true. So, right, we're actually going to call it with self.score is true. And if it's more, then we're going to say self.score is false. So we created a function. It takes the value, which is going to be true or false. We created two global variables, which is going to be our score. If value is equal to true, then what are we going to do? We're going to say A is equal to self.canvas.create text 125,40. Text is going to be the score, which is counter, and font is going to be Arial size 60, fill white. Then we're going to use the item config I was talking about earlier. Canvas.itemConfig. What are we configuring? The A, which is our text. And what are we doing with it? We're going to fill it with black instead. Next but not least, we did the exact same thing, but here we did counter plus. We increased our counter, so score was increased, and then we created it again. So hopefully you got that. If not, don't worry. I'll explain this once again. Now, we also have to initialize our counter variables. So what we're going to do is if you scroll all the way up over here, let's just initialize them. Counter is equal to 0. Counter 1 is equal to 0. Command S, F5. And invalid syntax is giving us an error. What is it saying? Global counter 1. That's because that was wrong. Okay. Counter. Command S, F5. Does this give us an error? It shouldn't. And voila. So as you can see right now we have a bug that it's printing forever and it's not stopping. So let's go back to our val true. Counter plus or equal to 1, and now we're gonna have to say, alright, so the main thing that we actually forgot is this. So wait, cancel. The reason why it's giving us so many iterations is when we set.score is equal to true, we also need to add the line self.x is equal to 3. I'm sorry, we shouldn't have deleted that. That was my mistake. So let's actually put this before. Command X, Command V. And then over here we'll be saying self.x is equal to -3. So Command S, F5. Let's see if this works. And what do we get? We get 0. So it should be actually showing us 1. Alright, interesting scores, but let's see what happens next. 3, alright, that worked. That didn't do anything. 5, so it's skipping weirdly, but don't worry, we'll fix this. Alright, so 7, 5, but our other score isn't even working. Alright, so it's skipping my 2s and the other one isn't working. Alright, so let's see what could be going wrong. It must just be a simple mistake. Alright, here's the mistake. Counter plus or equal to 1, and this should be counter 1 plus or equal to 1, F5. Invalid syntax, and that's because a random this has been pressed. Command S, F5. So 1, that's great. 1, great. So this commendable, guys. I agree we had to do some troubleshooting there. I'm sorry about that, but this is great. So now we have a fully functional Pong app that you could play with your friends, do whatever you want. Now, obviously, this can have a little more functionality. I think the first thing we're missing is a winning statement. So let's go ahead and add that, but let's just play a little bit, have some fun. All right, cool. So I'm going to close out of this. And what do we have to look for? It's going to be here. So while 1, we're going to be saying if... So we want to see if counter is 10, right? So we're going to say if counter is equal to 10. If counter is equal to 10, what are we saying? Ball.x should be 0. Ball.y should be 0. Paddle.y should be 0. Paddle1.y should be 0. So we want nothing should be able to move. So that's all we're trying to do right now. And then what do we want to say? We want, so let's create text. So canvas.create text 250, 200, text is equal to congrats, player 1, you win. Hallelujah. Great. Comma, we have to make the font. Font is equal to 32. Not font. Font is equal to 32. And fill is equal to red. Great. So this is the first or the second step, and we have to do this again. Canvas.create text. 250, 215, text. Whoops, I missed the brackets there. 250, 215, text is equal to score colon plus str counter 1. So player 1, no, it should be counter. Counter 1. There we go. And plus, let's try it out. Okay. Plus right. So it should be counter 1 plus, well, actually, let's just do counter plus this plus another str counter 1. And let's put a space so it'll just display the score. There we go. That's what we want. Comma, font is equal to 32. Fill is equal to red. If I were you, I'd just copy this. So let's just Command C. Hit enter. Back. If, and I'll just Command V. And it's going to be the same thing except over here, player 2, Command S, F5, invalid syntax, what's wrong? It's saying over here, why is it giving me this error? Let's see, enter. Alright, so I found our error. Our error was that we forgot to put the brackets over here. So now that we've done that, F5, unindent does not match any outer indentation level. Okay, so let's delete that. Alright, so I fixed our error doing some troubleshooting. It was just an indentation error. Alright, so let's try playing our game. So down, there we go, down, alright. So it's working so far. I have high hopes. So I'm just going to close this, and instead of doing 10, because we're not going to wait that long, I'm just going to make this 1 and 1. Command S, F5, and it gave me, so it's automatically going to 2. All right, interesting. All right, so the easiest way to get through this problem is, for what I think is, so what we can do now is just say, so, well, it's a bit of a, I wouldn't recommend it, but it'll help right now. So if counter is equal to 1 or counter 1 is equal to 1, then we want to say time.sleep 10,000 or 100,000. So let's see what happens. Now hopefully this works. Awesome. So it did work. Now this isn't the best way to do it, but it works for now. You can go search on the net for better ways to end your game. So let's reset our values back to 10. So if counter is equal to 10, just wherever you put the 1s, put the 10s down. So if counter 1 is equal to 10, back over here, 10 and 10. Great. So let's run our program one last time. All right. One sec. Doesn't seem to be closing. Sorry about that. So we've changed 10 everywhere. Command S, F5. So this is the last time, guys. Fingers crossed. 1. All right, let's play. So let's just play the game. 2. Great. 3. 1. All right, now there's a lot more. So this is great. The game is working. Fully functional, and once one guy hits 10, it'll work. Now you can have the concept of timer and making it more graphically look nice, but for now, the thing that we've created is amazing. So give yourselves a pat on the back. This is huge. You have a fully functional 2-player game. In the last lecture, we had created Bounce. Now we've created Pong. So awesome job. So this is it for now. I guess I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye.